Welcome back to the Lucie Landgraab channel. I'm Lucy and I've got a bit of a special video here for you today. Before I get into it though, I'm recording this voiceover on Monday 22nd of June 2020. Coronavirus is still a global issue and the Black Lives Matter movement is still moving towards some real and permanent change. It's been just over 100 days since Breonna Taylor was killed in her sleep by 3 police officers as she lay in bed in her own home. And only one of those police officers has been fired and absolutely none of them have been charged. So we're really pushing for that just now. Please check out some info to do with that in the description. And there will also be a link to the Black Lives Matter UK donation page, which I donated to last week. And if you are able to and have the finances available to you, please consider donating at this time. It's really important to make sure that we don't lose any momentum on this movement. Anyway, today we are speed building a real location that is very close to my heart, the Hive Nightclub in Edinburgh, Scotland. It was one of the first clubs I ever went to and became our friend group's favourite night out location. Unfortunately, due to COVID-19, we won't be able to go back for some time, so I thought, why not build it in The Sims? I built this mostly from memory, but also took a look at Hive's not so detailed map from the club and some promo photos to get the colours right-ish, because I had not realised that Hive was green, and I've been there. I've been to Hive more times than I could possibly count, but I'm usually, how is it best to put it? Truly gazebo, smashed, trashed, legless, drunk. I'm drunk. But there's literally no place better to be when you want to be drunk or you are drunk for multiple reasons. Hive has such an incredible collection of cheap drinks that just make it the most affordable night out. It's open 7 days a week, which is just fabulous when you're a student or when you don't have a Monday to Friday job, especially since there's no entry fee on the weekdays. And although we're usually at our drunkest when we go to Hive, I have never felt as safe in a club as I do when I'm in Hive. I think their security are really good at making sure that everyone there is respecting everyone's space, and they're incredibly fast to kick out anyone who's causing any problems. Even if something does break out, it's handled so quickly by security that I've just never felt safer, and people don't bother you at Hive either. I feel like in a lot of clubs, men are consistently coming up to women and bothering them, but people tend to be really respectful in Hive, which is not what you usually expect from places which are like much cheaper entry. But no, it's the entitled assholes at the high price clubs in Edinburgh. That's where you don't want to be. Where you do want to find yourself is Hive at 4 o'clock during the Fringe when they do Hive till 5 and they have their 5 a.m. license. I have multiple Hive till 5 shirts and I'm a very proud member of that club. Hive is situated on Niddry Street, just off of the Royal Mile, on a very cobbly road that I would not recommend wearing wedges for, because it's very hard to convince a bouncer that you're not drunk when you just hit your face off of the ground because your wedges fell in between the cracks of the cobbles. But it's also a hill basically, so I couldn't manage to replicate that in The Sims, but I brought up the ground and the foundation so that I could at least get a kind of idea of height-ish, and that also helped when I was trying to figure out the different heights within Hive, because there's a lot of steps up and down into different spaces because they're basically built like a cave. There's actually another venue nearby called The Caves, and they kind of just work into the old buildings from the old town in Edinburgh. Getting the general floor plan down was both difficult and easy because I know it like the back of my hand, but also don't know any of the backroom spaces, so wasn't able to like fully figure out how this building all fits in together. I've also never been into the male bathroom, for example, but got my boyfriend and some of his mates to give me apt descriptions. It doesn't sound very pleasant, I must say. There are 2 dance floors and 3 bars within Hive. There's the first bar, then there's the main bar, and then there's the cocktail bar, and then there's the main dance floor, and then what is usually the cheesy dance floor, which is a bit of a smaller space. So this is the first bar that you come to when you get into Hive. It is always the place that we get our first round of drinks, as everyone does bathroom breaks. There's usually 2 or so bartenders here and a huge crowd of people packed in around this small space. But it's the best place to wait for your friends, so it works out quite well. In terms of this actually being playable as a Sims build, this bar is currently not usable by anyone because there's no way to get in because of how I've alt-placed the bars. But if you were actually wanting to use this space in the game, I would probably just take out the end bar and just have a bar on each side. When I was about halfway through the build, I started to get some really weird deja vu, and I hope for anyone who has been to Hive that you're getting that same deja vu as more and more of this gets built. I had huge issues getting the foundations to stay the way I wanted them to during this. It kept breaking out and basically refusing to put a roof back on, so I had to keep doing little cheats by putting in fencing and then putting in the overhangs, and it took a long time to work it out. I actually cut a whole bunch of it out because it took way too long, and this was already a really long build. But yeah, no, eventually it started to work. There is more stairs, I guess, in Hive really. For example, from the dance floor to the main bar, there's actually a slope, but there's not a slope shown here. But yeah, other than that, I think the stairs are now pretty accurate, apart from the ones at the front there near the stage, because I don't think there's any steps up there. There's definitely a doorway on the left hand side, or an archway where people can come on and off of the stage, but there's no stairs actually in that room, I think to encourage us dancers not to climb up on stage, which is really the best call. But I popped them in so it's actually usable and that the Sims could get up there. It's also got an arch ceiling, and oh, God forbid the Sims could never with an arch ceiling. But it's such a great space, and I've been there for so many different events, like normal club nights, but also for foam parties and paint parties. I've actually been to a whole bunch of neon parties where I've just walked home and had to throw out my clothes because they're completely ruined by paint. The floors are so sticky in Hive, and it has a certain smell to it which I wouldn't recommend for the sober, and I say this with so much love in my heart. Hive, listen. You recognize what you are, and it's amazing, and we love you. But yes, sometimes you're a little grimy, but that's okay, because that's the style that we like and what we're coming there for. So this is me starting on the main bar space. It's probably the best place to have a seat if you just want a quick break from dancing. I'm pretty sure they now have the corner table as like a private booth that you can rent, or hire for the night, I guess is probably a better word than rent. But yeah, we used to sit in that corner all the time, and when it's not busy you can sit in there, and it's very pleasant because it cuts off the audio quite significantly, so you can actually have a conversation. But I also need to point out that if you are going to a club, you should not be going to a club to have a conversation. You should be going there to dance and have a good time, and Hive is very good at just playing some really fun cheesy throwbacks and everyone knows, and it's just a fun time, and it's good for everyone rather than just a few people in the group. There's some like betting machines and things at the end of that main bar, so I popped in that giant absurd arcade machine that we have. And honestly, it suits the space. So we're moving on to the second dance floor now, and the second seating area. I wouldn't really recommend these seats as the best place to sit. Whilst those booths and other seats in the main bar, you don't get much music flying through from the other rooms. you definitely get every word of every song when you're sat up there because you're so close to the sound systems. But it's good music in there, and if you need a seat, good place to go and hide out because not many people cross through there. Also, I just noticed that I popped that makeup chair down there, and that probably needs an explanation for anyone who hasn't been to Hive, but on some of the club nights they have face painters in and they usually set up there, and it's about a $5 to get some beautiful flowers painted on your face, and you wake up the next morning with the imprint of it on your pillow, but it's a lot of fun at the time. I also had to go back and repaint all the walls because I went onto Hive's Facebook page and was flicking through some promo photos, and I noticed that the walls were not black, which I just always kind of assumed they were. They're a mixture of black and green, but mostly green. And if you had asked me without looking at a photo what color is Hive, I would not have said green, but it is. So I changed all the walls to that new eco lifestyle green texture, which I'm actually using this wallpaper a lot in my builds at the moment. I also spent a lot of time in the debug menus trying to find empty glasses and lots of different colors of glasses, because the array of drinks that are served in Hive, especially in the cocktail bar, allow for a wide variety of coloured drinks across your dance floor. Hive's walls are also just plastered with self-promotion for other club nights at the club, so I just grabbed as many different ones as I could find and popped them up. But I certainly tried my best, and you know, I've still got that deja vu feeling looking at it, especially looking at the first bar, the dance floor at the second bar, and the cocktail bar, which I haven't even started working on yet in the speed build. I don't want to admit how long this build actually took either, because I think I had to separate this out into like 7 different QuickTime screen recordings to actually get it to save. I'm so excited for when we're able to go back out to clubs. I mean, I can't imagine that it will be for a very long time at this stage, because you can't socially distance at a club. As much as I keep hearing that people are going to try and do that, it's just not going to work that way. But this is the cocktail bar I'm starting to work on now. It's also a really great place just to sit and hang out, and if you've lost someone in Hive, it's one of the best places to name as the like regrouping area, and if you've lost someone, you'll probably find them in here because they got too bored waiting for the bars at the other initial first 2 and have ended up back here. The guys we go out with also are obsessed with Hive's cocktails because they are lethal. They actually had to stop selling one of theirs because people were getting too drunk off of them. We actually personally blame one of our friends for why they had to stop selling that drink. The cocktail bar also feels different from all the other spaces in Hive. It's like a bright yellow colour, and there's graffiti artwork all over the walls, and it just feels a lot brighter than the rest of the space, so it's a really nice break from the rest of the club. So at this point I'm just adding finishing touches, making sure that all my colours are right and that I haven't missed anything important or left any walls too bare. And I then started to think about my screenshots and about how this was going to look really great, but it looks weird this empty. I've never been in Hive when there's nobody else there. So I went around the neighborhood that I built this in and I grabbed a bunch of NPCs and I popped them in here for our screenshots, which we will now take a little look at. I've thrown in a couple of photos from Hive to actually give you an idea of whether or not I've got it right or not, but I also didn't want to include pictures of people I don't know, so there's only a few of them. But yeah, I think the space turned out pretty accurate. If you've ever been, I'd love to hear if you think that I got close. I think considering the tools I have and the items available to me, I got it pretty close. Like, it looks like the space, and I'm really happy with it. If you've never been to Hive before, this is probably a bit of an odd one because it's not a very traditional looking build, it's not a very clean looking build, but this is my home away from home, so I thought I would just celebrate that a little bit whilst I'm unable to actually go there. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Have a lovely day, and thank you so much for your support.